Look around you right now. On your dollar bill, above government buildings, in corporate logos, even carved into ancient temples thousands of years old. The exact same symbols keep appearing everywhere. But is there one religion that actually holds the keys to understanding what these ancient symbols really mean, while others have forgotten their original power? By the end of this video, I hope to show you evidence that might inspire you to look at different religions with more open-mindedness in an attempt to understand their deeper connections to ancient traditions. Alright, let's just get the disclaimers out of the way. Yes, I will be using some AI images because I'm not Michelangelo. Yes, we're discussing religious symbolism because it's historically fascinating. And yes, some of you will probably get offended when we explore which modern groups show the strongest connections to ancient esoteric knowledge. I'm Alex Arnold, this is Arnie's Brain Train, and this channel is about learning cool stuff and having fun with history, not protecting everyone's feelings about their favorite organizations. This video is going to examine 7 symbols that have persisted across cultures and millennia, created entirely through my own research. I'll leave it to you to continue your own research and decide for yourself. I'm not presenting any sort of case or side, just facts and history. So, if you can handle some thought-provoking content without melting down, subscribe and join the adventure. Now, something about my channel that I really pride myself on: every single claim that I make is backed by solid academic sources, historical documents, and scholarly research. I've spent literally years studying these symbols and these religions, diving into academic papers, historical texts, and documented evidence to bring you facts, not conspiracy theories. You'll find everything listed in the description below or in the pinned comment because I want you to verify everything that I'm telling you. This is documented history that most people never learn about. Today, we're going to follow the evidence about ancient symbols and modern religions. So, let's see where the facts lead us. Let's get going. Our first symbol is probably staring at you from your wallet right now. The all-seeing eye, also called the Eye of Providence. You see it on the dollar bill floating above an unfinished pyramid. But this symbol is ancient beyond belief. The Egyptians called it the Eye of Horus over 5,000 years ago, representing divine protection and royal power. This same eye appears in Masonic lodges, on government seals, and in corporate logos worldwide. The symbol represents omniscience, the idea that there's always someone watching, always someone in control. When the founding fathers put this on American currency, they weren't just being artistic. They were making a statement about who really holds power in society. Modern Freemasonry uses this symbol extensively in their lodge decorations and ritual implements. The eye appears above the master's chair in virtually every Masonic lodge worldwide, representing the great architect of the universe, watching over their proceedings. But it's not just the Masons. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints incorporates the all-seeing eye into their temple architecture and religious artwork, calling it the Eye of Jehovah. What's interesting is that while many Christian denominations avoid esoteric symbolism, the Latter-day Saints have embraced it extensively, suggesting either a comfort with ancient traditions or possibly a deeper knowledge of their original meanings. The eye suggests that behind all the chaos of daily life, there's an organized intelligence guiding events. Whether you believe that's divine providence, restored ancient knowledge, or something else entirely, the symbol's consistent appearance across cultures and centuries suggests something much deeper than coincidence. Intelligence agencies like the CIA have used variations of this symbol, and tech companies like AOL and CBS have incorporated it into their logos, because the message is always the same. Someone is watching, someone knows, someone has control. The square and compass. If you've ever seen a Masonic lodge or building, you know this symbol. Most people think that it's just about construction tools, but this symbol actually represents the fundamental forces that built our reality itself. The square represents Earth, matter, the physical world, everything you can touch and measure. The compass represents spirit, the divine, the realm of ideas and consciousness. Together, they show the marriage between physical and spiritual worlds, the idea that true power comes from understanding both realms. Freemasonry has 3 main branches that all use this symbol: but with different interpretations. The Blue Lodge Masons see it as tools for moral construction, building better men through ethical development. The Scottish Rite extends to 33 degrees of initiation, with each level revealing deeper meanings of the square and compass. The York Rite focuses on the connection to King Solomon's temple, where these tools allegedly held sacred significance in the original temple construction. Other groups have adopted variations of this symbol. The Rosicrucians use a modified version with added roses, representing the marriage of earthly wisdom and divine love. Some branches of Eastern Orthodox Christianity incorporate compass-like symbols in their mystical traditions, particularly in Mount Athos monasteries, where sacred geometry is considered a path to understanding divine creation. Ancient builders weren't just constructing buildings, they were encoding universal principles into stone. The Gothic cathedrals, the pyramids, even modern skyscrapers, they all follow geometric principles represented by the square and compass. This symbol appears in architectural blueprints, government buildings, and even NASA mission patches because it represents the fundamental tools needed to shape reality itself. The letter G often appears in the center. It officially stands for God or geometry, but it actually stands for Gnosis, representing the hidden knowledge of how the universe actually operates. The five-pointed star. You see it on every American flag, military insignia, and countless corporate logos. But this symbol carries power that goes back to ancient Babylon and Greece. The pentagram isn't just a pretty shape, it's a mathematical miracle that appears throughout nature. So there's really a lot to it, but just know that when you draw a pentagram, every line segment divides the others according to the golden ratio, the same proportion that appears in flower petals, nautilus shells, human DNA, and galaxy spirals. Ancient Greeks called this the divine proportion because it seemed to reveal God's blueprint for creation. The Order of the Eastern Star, Freemasonry's co-ed auxiliary organization, places the pentagram at the center of their ritual system. Each point represents a different biblical heroine: Ada, Ruth, Esther, Martha, and Electa, and their associated virtues. The deeper teaching involves the five elements and the microcosm of human consciousness, reflecting the macrocosm of universal order. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints extensively uses pentagram symbolism, with five-pointed stars appearing on their original Nauvoo Temple, Salt Lake Temple, and in early church artwork. Joseph Smith taught that the pentagram represented the morning star and divine guidance. Unlike most modern Christian churches that have moved away from such symbolism, Latter-day Saint temples are filled with these ancient symbols. Again, either suggesting a unique comfort with esoteric traditions or indicating that they possess knowledge about the symbol's original sacred purposes that other denominations have lost. Modern Wiccan and neo-pagan traditions have also reclaimed the pentagram as a symbol of the five elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. They understand what ancient cultures knew. This symbol represents mastery over the fundamental forces of nature. Islamic architecture frequently incorporates five-pointed stars, connecting them to the five pillars of Islam and divine perfection. In Kabbalah, the pentagram appears in certain mystical texts as a symbol of the five levels of the soul. Many ancient cultures believed that the pentagram represented the five elements that composed everything. Control these five forces, and you control reality itself. That's why you see this symbol on government buildings, military badges, and corporate logos worldwide. The symbol has appeared on flags from the Soviet Union to China to the United States, supposedly representing different ideologies, but really representing the same underlying power structure that understands these cosmic principles. You'll notice that we keep seeing a pattern emerge that certain organizations consistently appear alongside these ancient symbols, while others seem to have lost the connection entirely. The pyramid might be the most obvious symbol of power on the planet. There's a reason it appears on your money, in corporate logos, and in ancient structures worldwide. This isn't just about Egypt either. Pyramid structures appear in Mexico, Cambodia, China, and even hidden beneath European cities. The triangle represents the perfect hierarchy, wide base supporting a narrow apex. It's the ultimate symbol of organized power, flowing upward to a single point of control. Ancient builders knew something that we're only rediscovering. Pyramid shapes actually affect energy fields, preserve matter, and seem to tap into forces that we don't fully understand. In Masonic symbolism, the pyramid represents the ultimate goal of human spiritual evolution, the ascension from base matter to enlightened consciousness. The Scottish Rite's 33rd degree specifically uses pyramid imagery to represent the completion of the great work. The unfinished pyramid on the dollar bill tells the whole story. It's missing its capstone, suggesting that the final phase of some great plan hasn't been completed yet. Latter-day Saint theology extensively incorporates pyramid symbolism with their concept of eternal progression, following a pyramidal structure, from earthly existence to various levels of celestial glory. The LDS Temple Endowment Ceremony includes pyramid-related symbolism that appears to preserve elements found in ancient temple traditions. Early Latter-day Saint leaders like Brigham Young specifically reference pyramid symbolism when describing the Order of Heaven. The pattern here is striking. While most Christian denominations simplified or abandoned complex symbolic systems, the Latter-day Saints developed an increasingly elaborate symbolic framework that bears remarkable similarities to ancient mystery traditions. The Catholic Church's entire structure is pyramidal, from lay people at the base through priests, bishops, cardinals, to the Pope at the apex. Their cathedral architecture often incorporates triangular elements, and the Trinity itself is represented by triangular symbols. Eastern religions follow similar patterns. Buddhist stupas are essentially pyramids, representing the path from earthly consciousness to enlightenment. Hindu temples follow pyramidal principles, with the most sacred spaces at the highest points. The Latin phrases on the dollar bill around the pyramid translate to New World Order and He has favored our undertaking, referring to a divine plan being carried out through human institutions. Modern corporations use triangular logos because they understand this symbol's psychological impact. It suggests stability, hierarchy, and upward movement toward a goal. Most people, especially Christians, think that the cross is just for them. But this symbol actually predates Christianity by thousands of years, and it appears in virtually every culture on Earth. The ancient Egyptians had the Ankh, Vikings had Thor's hammer, Buddhists had the Dharma wheel, all variations of the same basic symbol. The cross represents the intersection of opposites, horizontal and vertical, earth and heaven, time and eternity, masculine and feminine. It's the symbol of balance and the meeting point where different forces combine to create something new. The Knights Templar used the red cross as their primary symbol, but their version carried deeper esoteric meanings related to the intersection of earthly and divine knowledge. They weren't just Christian warriors, they were initiates into ancient mysteries who understood the cross as a symbol of cosmic balance. The Rosicrucians developed this further with their rose cross symbol, where the rose represents the flowering of consciousness at the intersection point of earthly and spiritual forces. Different Christian denominations have developed some unique interpretations of cross symbolism. Eastern Orthodox churches use crosses with 3 horizontal bars, each representing different aspects of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. Celtic Christianity incorporates circle crosses that blend Christian and pre-Christian symbolism. Protestant denominations, like the Methodists and Lutherans, have specific cross variations that carry denominational significance. The cross actually appears at many literal crossroads throughout history. Ancient Romans built their entire empire along cross-shaped road networks. Modern cities are laid out in grid patterns that create thousands of intersections. The medical symbol, the red cross, even the plus sign in mathematics, they all draw from the same source. Freemasonry incorporates multiple cross variations, particularly in the higher degrees. The Knight Templar degree uses the Passion Cross, while other degrees reference the Tau cross and the Cross of Salem. These aren't just decorative. Each cross type represents different stages of spiritual development and different aspects of the ancient mysteries. The cross symbol appears on flags from England to Switzerland to Scandinavia because it represents the power that comes from controlling the intersection points where different forces meet. In ancient times, whoever controlled the crossroads controlled trade, communication, and power itself. The circle, specifically the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, might be the most profound symbol on our list. This image appears in ancient Egypt, medieval alchemy, modern psychology, and corporate logos worldwide because it represents the ultimate truth about power. It's cyclical and self-sustaining. The Ouroboros show destruction and creation is the same process, the end becoming the beginning, death feeding life, old systems dying to birth new ones. Ancient alchemists used this symbol to represent the philosopher's stone, the legendary substance that could transform base metals into gold and grant eternal life. The Theosophical Society, founded by Helena Blavatsky, uses the Ouroboros as part of their official seal, combined with other ancient symbols. They teach that the serpent represents the eternal cycle of spiritual evolution, consciousness descending into matter and then ascending back to spirit. Modern Rosicrucian orders have adopted similar circular symbolism, representing the eternal cycles of initiation and spiritual rebirth. In Hindu and Buddhist traditions, the circle appears in mandala form, intricate circular designs that represent the cosmos and the journey of consciousness. Tibetan Buddhism uses prayer wheels that embody the same principle, constant circular motion that maintains spiritual energy. These aren't just artistic expressions, they're practical tools for understanding and working with cyclical forces. Freemasonic lodge rooms are typically arranged in circular or oval patterns, with the members forming a circle during certain ceremonies. This represents the eternal nature of the brotherhood and the cyclic progression through degrees of initiation. The circular arrangement also symbolizes equality, no beginning or end, no member higher than another within the circle of brotherhood. Modern power structures understand this symbol's real meaning. Sustainable control requires constant renewal. Governments rise and fall, but the underlying systems persist. Corporations rebrand themselves, but the same networks remain. The Ouroboros reveal that true power doesn't come from permanence, but from the ability to constantly reinvent while maintaining core control. You see circular logos everywhere, from BMW to Starbucks to the Olympics, because the circle represents completion, perfection, and eternal return. Our final symbol might be the most revealing of all, the double-headed eagle, which appears in Masonic lodges, on Russian coats of arms, and in ancient Byzantine art. This represents the ultimate principle of power, the ability to see and control from multiple perspectives simultaneously. One head looks east, one looks west. One sees the past, one sees the future. One head represents the spiritual realm, one the material world. The double-headed eagle symbolizes the kind of consciousness that can hold opposing viewpoints simultaneously and use that tension to maintain control. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry uses the double-headed eagle as their primary symbol, particularly in the higher degrees from the 30th to the 33rd. Each degree reveals deeper meanings of this symbol. The 30th degree connects it to the Knights Kadosh. The 32nd degree relates it to the Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret. And the 33rd degree reveals its connection to the ultimate mysteries of the craft. The eagle in Scottish Rite symbolism often holds a sword, representing the power that comes from balanced perspective. The Orthodox Church uses double-headed eagles in various contexts, representing the dual nature of Christ as both human and divine. Russian Orthodoxy specifically connects the symbol to the concept of symphonia, the harmony between earthly and spiritual authority. The Russian coat of arms features this eagle because it represents the imperial claim to be the Third Rome. the inheritor of both Roman and Byzantine imperial traditions. This symbol appears in the highest degrees of Freemasonry because it represents the final level of understanding, the ability to transcend simple either-or thinking and operate from a both-and perspective. Historical empires that used this symbol, Byzantium, Austria-Hungary, Russia, were known for their complex diplomatic strategies and their ability to play multiple sides of conflicts. Modern intelligence agencies and multinational corporations operate according to this same principle. They maintain influence across seemingly opposing systems, supporting different sides while ultimately serving their own interests. The double-headed eagle reveals that the highest level of power comes from rising above the conflicts that divide ordinary people, symbolism for centuries, using it to justify their complex web of alliances and territorial claims across Europe. So let's go ahead and put all this together. We've seen 7 symbols that appear across thousands of years and countless cultures. The all-seeing eye represents omniscient awareness. The square and compass showing the marriage of spiritual and material power. The pentagram revealing natural mathematical harmony. The pyramid demonstrating hierarchical organization. The cross marking the intersection of opposing forces. The circle displaying eternal renewal cycles. And the double-headed eagle embodying multi-perspective consciousness. These symbols aren't randomly distributed. They cluster around the same types of organizations again and again. Freemasonry uses virtually all of them in different degrees and contexts. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints incorporates most of them into their temple architecture and theology. Other groups have fragments. The Eastern Star has pentagrams. Orthodox churches have double-headed eagles. Rosicrucians have rose crosses. But very few modern organizations combine this many ancient symbols with such apparent understanding of their deeper meanings. Here's where it gets interesting. Joseph Smith claimed to restore ancient temple practices, and when you examine LDS temples, you find symbols that connect to Solomon's temple, Egyptian mysteries, and ancient initiation traditions. The evidence suggests either remarkable coincidence or access to knowledge about these symbols' original sacred purposes. While most Christian denominations moved away from esoteric symbolism during various reform movements, the Latter-day Saints developed an increasingly elaborate symbolic system. The pattern continues to become clear when you look at modern institutions. Government buildings worldwide feature these symbols, not because of some vast conspiracy, but because these symbols represent principles of organization and power that actually work. Banks and corporations use them because they communicate stability, hierarchy, and cosmic order to the subconscious mind. Religious organizations incorporate them because they connect earthly institutions to eternal principles. None of these are just random symbols or ancient superstitions. They're a coherent symbolic language that reveals how power actually operates in our world. Whether you see this as evidence of a restored ancient knowledge, continuing mystery traditions, or simply recurring human insights about the nature of reality, one thing is clear. These symbols keep appearing in positions of influence because they represent principles that actually work. The people and organizations that understand these symbols' real meanings have a massive advantage over those who see them as mere decoration. They're not just symbols. They're tools for understanding and wielding power in ways that most people will never even recognize. When you see a Masonic lodge, an LDS temple, or a government building decorated with these symbols, you're looking at institutions that understand something fundamental about how reality operates. But the question remains, which ones have the complete picture, and which ones are working with fragments? Well guys, thank you so much for joining me, Alex Arnold, with Arnie's Brain Train, where we explore fascinating topics and follow the evidence wherever it leads. If this journey through symbolic connections opened your eyes to patterns you've never noticed before, hit that like button and subscribe to help me create even better content with improved visuals and deeper research. Remember, all of my sources for today's exploration are listed in the description below or in the pinned comment. And I want to hear from you. What other hidden patterns do you want to explore? Should we look into symbols more? Or should we examine the specific evidence for how ancient temple knowledge may have been transmitted to modern times? Drop your suggestions in the comments, and remember, the world isn't always this simple, but it's always this interesting. Until next time, keep that brain train rolling. See you guys there. Bye.